Hey everyone, how are you? Welcome back. This is Ron Couming, and you're watching the Success Secrets Revealed live stream show. I want to talk to you first about the show, why we created the show. Then I'm going to introduce our sponsor. Then I'm going to bring on our amazing guest today, Colleen Gallagher, who's going to talk to us about stuff that's just going to blow your mind. We were just talking before, and she was blowing my mind, but I already knew her before, so I knew she was a rock star. Grateful for her to be with us today. So Success Secrets Revealed show we created because my radio show, Internet Marketing and Business Solutions with Ronald Couming, wasn't being manned because of COVID. So they weren't manning the station. So I created this show to bring on subject matter experts to talk to you about how they had success and overcame, whether it was business or personal things, and persevered through them. And the hope is that in hearing their stories, God forbid one of those happens to you, you'll realize, A, you're not alone, and B, how to navigate through them. And you're going to love today's guest because she's navigated through several. And so the sponsor for our show, in each show, is always the same, and it's RCS Online Solutions. That's my company. We help business owners and entrepreneurs attract, convert, and retain their ideal customers and clients to achieve even greater success. Basically, you can have the best content, the best websites, you can have the best services and products out there. If people can't find you, they can't consider you. If they can't consider you, they can't hire you, right? So that's basically what we do. We just help you get whatever it is you do in front of your ideal customers and clients. So today I want to talk to you about our guests, and let me read the bio coming up right here. Our guest is Colleen Gallagher, and she is a heart-centered, intuitive business consultant. She has survived childhood cancer. She is a global citizen and advocate in academia, pursuing her Ph.D. in psychology right now. Her greatest success is seeing her clients' business impact the world in a way that feels good for them. Colleen empowers leaders and business owners to come to a newfound clarity on their mission to impact the world by understanding their spiritual gifts so they can take calculated actions to grow that business. Her work involves teaching leaders how to use their voices on social media to attract opportunities to them and impact the world with that. I love it. It's kind of right up my alley, so to speak. So without further ado, ta-da, let's bring on Colleen Gallagher.
Yay!
I feel so formal. When I do the introductions in the show, my shoulders are back, and I'm kind of nervous because it's, I got to do this, and this, right? And then now it's just me.
I know, it's perfect how it all works out.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. I mean, I've known you for quite a while. I've seen you at many events. I know you're a rock star, and in the bio I read and maybe butchered a little bit, doesn't do you justice at all. Can you tell us and our listeners a little bit more about who you are, where you've come from, and what you do? And I'll just jump in here and there.
Totally, yeah. So thank you so much for, first of all, having me. I feel super grateful to be collaborating in this way. So as Ron said, my name is Colleen Gallagher, and I'm known for a lot of different things, but I always like to share a little bit about me and kind of how I've gotten to be into the online world, or into traveling the world, or into helping people live into their potential. So at age 14, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. You can actually still see that I have a scar on my neck, and I say that I have two smiley faces. But at a really early age, I had a lot of people make fun of me for it. So I was really insecure. I had a lot of issues growing up, I guess, that I kind of went into myself, but I always knew that I had a will that I needed to succeed. And the reason that I believe that is because I saw the healthcare system in America, that you need money or a corporate job to have sustainable healthcare. So that's what I was trained to believe. And so I worked out of college for a $23 billion company where I grew my sales territory 0 to $1 million in 8 months, then $5 million to $8 million in 8 months. And I realized I was so unhappy with my life. And I was like 21, 22 years old. And I was like, something has to change. I didn't make it through cancer, and to be here, like living a life that I hate just for money.
Yeah, go ahead. I love it. I'm just, that's amazing already.
And then from that place, I was like, something has to change. And so I decided that I was going to leave my corporate job and move across the world to New Zealand. Now, why I did this isn't just like random, but I always wanted to travel the world. And growing up, I traveled as a little girl, and I really believe that was one thing that was always like my savior with the world or with the universe. In college, I did 3 study abroad. So I lived in Cuba, South Africa, and London. And with this, I was like ready for my next big thing, but I really wanted to find myself. And so I picked my life up for 3 months. I saved my money and moved over to New Zealand. And within 4 weeks, I had a job with a $400 million company.
Wow.
And it was incredible. I was covering Australia, New Zealand, but I was doing a marketing campaign for Australia, New Zealand, Korea, Taiwan, Japan. And I was learning about their electricity distribution, which was pretty incredible. And from that place, I then was like, okay, I can't just pick up and move somewhere and think life's going to be different. I realized I hated my life again because I hated that job and I wasn't doing what I was meant to be doing. So I basically was like, okay, I have to do this a different way. And I decided that I had to look within, and I had to really decide who is it I want to be in the world for the rest of my life. And so I became really committed to yoga and meditation for 4 hours a day over 8 months. And that changed my life from that moment. I basically decided a few other reasons why, but I was going to travel the world and start an online business and help people understand how to live their truth. And that was when my first book was birthed, where I teach people how to overcome their disease, because I believe that each of us have an equally traumatic disease. Mine happened to be cancer, but each of us have one. And so I teach you how to find whatever it is that you've gone through, how to speak about it, and then how to live it in a way so you can create a business. And that was in January of 2018.
Yeah. Wow. And how old were you at that time? I mean, you've already from 21, you picked up, you left, you went over here working hundreds of $1 million companies, and poof, you just pick up and go to New Zealand. You were like 21 at the time?
23, I think, 22 or 23. Yeah.
Yeah. Most 23-year-olds are trying to pack up and get out of their parents', attic or out of the basement. And here you are packing up and moving all the way to New Zealand. I mean, it's not the norm, man, but congrats on that. And so you accomplished a lot at such a young age.
Yeah. And it's crazy to even think about it, and I think because when I graduated college, my goal was that I wanted to live outside of the state of Michigan. And so I haven't lived with my parents since I've been 17. But I lived in Arizona, right, for a summer for an internship. And then when I graduated college, I lived in Texas. I'd never been to Texas before moving out. Like, I remember I found a roommate, found an apartment, like never going there, and then like just moving into the place with this woman. and then I moved to Baltimore, Maryland. Again, never like visited there before, literally with my suitcases arriving like in this thing. And same with New Zealand, never been there. I like arrived and in my first year of business in 2018, I actually made it to 13 countries, which was pretty incredible. And I started my master's of science in global technology and development, because I realized that kind of the coaching or life coaching wasn't giving me the biggest impact that I knew I had the ability to do. And I was like, I want to live into my potential. I want to figure out where some of these world or global problems stem from, and I want to go for it. And so I was actually starting my business and getting my master's at the same time. And I graduated with my master's last year. And I also wrote my second book, which was about Rohingyas, which is a group of refugees, the largest group in one area, or it's displaced people that are in Bangladesh. And basically I wrote about how to create technology-based education systems. And so from that, I then was ready to start my PhD, and I moved to LA. I moved back to Arizona to LA. And I basically from that was like, I really want to find a way to help more people. Yet I had this really huge journey of when I was traveling the world of my spirituality or energy. I think spirituality can be a word people get confused by. I know I went on this really big journey of I really want to find out who I am. I really want to understand why I was placed on the earth. And I really want to see how I can guide people to reach their fullest potential. And from that last 2 years of my life, where I've kind of gone pretty crazy on that, I've had huge financial success. I've also gone into financial debt, and I've been able to see the duality of both. And I've actually been able to see how money is just an energy that you can change so quickly in your life if you choose to live in alignment with who you are. And so what I love about Ron is that we kind of do similar things, but it's in a different avenue. And what I love about that is that you need both. You can't have just people like me, and you can't have just people like Ron, because there's 8 billion people in the world, and people need to be communicated to differently, and people need to hear different stories for them to see that their life could change.
Yeah, and you're phenomenal. I mean, I'm not even quite sure where to start, because you just it was amazing. But one of the things I'd like to really touch on, and we can get into specifics as we go, but what set you apart? You talk about your energy, and you've done from 17 to 21. You went here, and then within a couple of months of going to New Zealand again, just the fact that you went down there, didn't really know anybody, and Regan's down there too, right? That's where she's from. Yeah, she's
amazing.
Yeah, she's amazing. And but you just went down there, you didn't know anybody. Same thing when you went to Arizona. What was it about you that just gave you? I mean, a lot of that says, and we know a lot of the same people, and they talk about taking action and doing these different things. You absolutely took action. You absolutely took massive action, and it's panned out tremendously for you and the people that you work with. But what sets you apart from other people who have a hard time turning off Netflix and getting up and filling out a resume?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I can't always say this with my cancer, but I when I was a little girl, I used to perceive the world in a certain way. So basically, I would see like angels or fairies, is what people say in the spiritual world. At that time, I didn't know anything. I just figured it was as real as me talking to you through this computer. And I stopped speaking my truth. And what I know to be true is that anything that happens in the body is simply because we've suppressed something emotionally. So I had thyroid cancer, which is my throat, where my throat was cut twice because I wasn't speaking my truth. So there was a blockage that occurred, which manifested in the form of cancer. And I had to remember how to communicate how I perceive the world and how important that is. And so from my life, I really believe cancer was a gift, because I saw that this life is so short and it can be taken from you at any moment. And what happened to me, and I feel in that process, is that I started to understand that there's something greater within all of us, and that there's a communication channel or dialogue, whether you want to have the dialogue with your head, whether it's dialogue with universe, source, but there is a dialogue with something greater than just Ron and myself. Like, there is some intangible dialogue, even if it's just your own thoughts in your head, that you've got to understand what's going on, and you've got to believe in yourself that you deserve a better life if you want a better life, or you've got to stop just thinking you're here to get by and instead believe that you are here to live in total abundance.
I love it. And having that such a tie-in, I mean, a lot of people, some people, when they have things like that happen to them, it's like it happened to them, not for them. Having that cancer, instead of seeing it that, this is, it happened to me, what am I going to do? Poor me. You saw it as it was a sign that you weren't speaking your truth, especially the location of the cancer. And then you use that as a catalyst, that this happened for me, to free me, to wake me up, to give me an awareness of something that I wasn't doing, that was conflicting with even just my alignment as a whole. And you use that as a catapult to just change your entire life. I mean, that's great. I mean, when you listen to like Jim Rohns and some other people, they talk about, things that happen to us, the exact single things that happen to us might be different, but the mental and emotional feelings that we get from those are pretty much the same. But you can choose to see that as something that happened to you or something that happened for you. You brought that to a whole nother level.
Yeah, I mean, in my new book, I just finished my third book, which is coming out later this year, called An Uncompromised Life. And
is that this one below?
No, this is an ebook. This is the Golden Rose, but that's an ebook that tells you how to become a heart-centered business leader, and I give you 8 steps to take to integrate into your life. My new book, which is a full book, is called An Uncompromised Life, and I have 13 lessons that I've learned in my life of what it takes to live a life uncompromised to who you are. So I take you deep into understanding who your soul is, what your soul is, certain traumas that may have happened in your life, like a cancer. There's other traumas that have happened in my life that I've never opened up about before that I share in this book, of how to make those traumas not something you have judgment and shame around. And what you said, it's not to make them happen, that poor me, but there's actually 4 things in the world of consciousness. And I believe Anna Naturalista taught me this, if people don't know her, but something that it's happened to me, it's happened for me, it's happened with me, and it's happened as me. And as you grow in your state of evolution of whoever you are as a human being, you've got to get to a place where everything in your life has happened as who you are. There's absolutely no separation in who you're being and what's occurred in your life. Because we try to suppress things or avoid things, whether it's avoiding a relationship or a marriage that's not working, but feeling like we still need to be in it because we made a commitment and we want to live that out, or we're not a good person, or we had some trauma happen as a child and we don't want to admit it, or we don't want to talk to our parents about it, or we want to be in this job to appease our parents. You've got to find a way when that's not happening anymore to you, that you start to make your life happen for you. I realized that I didn't want to people please my parents, so I'm rising up. I realized I didn't want to suffer in a marriage, so I'm choosing to rise up. And that's the 4. And then you have the with and as that moves in different parts of me. So many parts of my life has become as who I am, as I have certain online services or products or consulting that I offer for that. And that doesn't just happen overnight, but your small steps to your commitment to be a whole, a healed, a exciting person, that compounds over time, just like saving money and interest and finances. Your actions compound the same way that your money does, but I'd argue that your actions have a greater compound than money ever could, because that's when miracles start to show up.
I love it. That's amazing, and I have to agree with that too on multiple levels, because money you can always replace. It comes and it goes, and I love how you talked about your relationship with money. Some people really kind of like have blockages, and they live in a serious scarcity mindset, and it prevents them from, they worry about how much money's going out instead of how much money's coming in. You know what I mean? And I can get into all the percentages and stuff. But if you just focus on more coming in, you don't have to worry about what's going out. But it's how it's coming in, as long as it's, in a good quality way and within your integrity and all that. But you help people a lot with that. Am I correct? And can you talk to us about that a bit?
Yeah, I've helped a lot of people with their frequency around money. Because I've had to learn a lot, and I grew up with the very mindset of like, this is what you make, this is what you spend. And it was funny. I had to hire a lot of mentors to really get into this, but you can always create more money. Like, money is an infinite resource. There's never a shortage of money. Even if you look at COVID-19, what's happening, how much money is randomly being printed. There is never a shortage of money. And so I really believe the frequency that I've learned is I've gone, like I said, $100,000 in debt, and I've also had $100,000 sales month. So I've really seen the dichotomy and duality of this. And I really, really believe the thing that you've got to get yourself into is, what can I do where I believe so much in what I do? I'm so excited to wake up every day, and I would love to receive money from that. And it doesn't come this thing of I have to help or overextend myself or live in poverty to help other people. There's more than enough for me to have all my needs and more taken care of and still help other people. And I believe when you look at any really nonprofit that's, had an impact, or you look at any even purpose-driven business, you need money to do purposeful things. And that's just the way it is. And the sooner that you can start to look at where you were programmed in your life by churches, by parents, by leaders, that money is bad, or that you can't have money and do good things, the sooner your life will shift. I know that I had a lot of work to do with that. But for you to have this duality of what I'm saying of $100,000 in debt and $100,000 sales month, you have to look at where is your language and programming at. How are you saying yes to things maybe you should be saying no to? That's just an energy focus and redirection of where you should have been creating, instead of spending recklessly or spending mindlessly. And in that place, I promise you, when you start to look at your thoughts and where your energy is going, that's what creates shifts for your money. It's not actually the task of, let me go to the bank and do this, or let me do this. Like, it doesn't become those things that multiply your money. It's the frequency of why you're doing a certain thing and what you're choosing to expand your life into.
I love it. And it's so vitally important to people, because especially now we got this COVID stuff going on, and there's such people can't, I can't say can't work, because you and I are both working. You were just telling me that your business has gone 2x in the last couple of months. And, most people are, wondering, how they're going to buy food next week. Right. So, So, it's vitally important. If you had like 3 tips to give people now, right? And I would say business owners, entrepreneurs, but it really can be anybody, on things that they can do mentally and emotionally, or business-wise, financially, whatever. But just 3 tips that people can do to just start to have a better life, or a better relationship with money, making more money. Because I agree with you, the frequency, you know what I mean? There's a whole different mindset. It's not purely transactional. When you can get out of the transactional mindset and the scarcity mindset, it just opens up a whole bunch of doors. So can you give us like 3 or 4 tips that people can maybe implement almost immediately? And also give us your contact info too.
Totally. Yeah. So I think number one, the biggest thing to do around money, if you're someone right now who is struggling severely, I think number one is just sit in stillness and say a prayer. I think that's the biggest thing that you can do, is first of all, just sit in stillness and say a prayer of, I'm open to receive. I'm open to understanding new ways to make money. Please guide me so I can understand how to make this a better situation. I think the first thing is to sit in stillness and simply say a prayer, or have a different language in your head, so you can be open to the possibilities that there's a greater force in darkness than you. And I think that's the biggest thing for you to realize. That's step one. Step two, I believe from that you'll get an intuitive, I call it an obsessive knowing of what action to take. That you're like, I need to go to Google. I need to listen to this podcast. There was this person I need to call. I believe that will happen. But if you don't have that happen, what I would say is start to listen to a podcast, start to go on YouTube, start to do something that teaches you how to make money. So I would be looking up network marketing companies if I believed in CBD, or if I believed in crystals, or if I believed in financial industries, whatever that it is, I would start to get involved. Okay, I know this is what I'm passionate about. How can I take action now to start learning how I can be part of that industry that I can make money from? Because there's so many industries that are thriving right now. So I would then go, I said a prayer. I need to open. 2, I'm going to take action on finding an avenue for me to start learning, or me to start educating from my knowledge. And then step 3 is I would start specifically sharing on social media, whatever platform you want, from an educational standpoint. So I would look at what you've gone through in your life. So maybe it's medical, maybe it's finances, maybe it's education, maybe it's technology, maybe it's being a stay-at-home mom and things to do with your child while going through this time. But I would simply start sharing educational things on social media once a week or twice a week, of things people could do. From that place, I would build engagement around whatever I'm posting. From that engagement, I would then look at what can I create as an offering to start my own small business, even if it was, $50 a month, that's extra from that. And any business, whatever business you're in, you need to have, there's only 3 ways to make money. You have a membership, you have a product, or you have a service. And obviously you can go more expansive with affiliates, with compounding, with all these different things that you can make a business model in. But that's the very basics of a business model 101 for you to start having money. And so I would be, like I said, 1, a prayer. 2, I would listen to whatever came through from that prayer of like, oh, I remember that thing, or this person that I saw on social media, or this bank, or I don't know, whoever that it is, or network marketing. I would then take action to get involved in that. And step 3 is I would be using social media in a way to educate people about something that I'm passionate about. So if I really didn't know how to get food, the next place I would say, you know what, everyone, I want to do a daily prayers because I feel really stressed right now. So I want to offer that to everyone else. And that, I promise you, eventually will turn into a business model.
I love it, and it's it's so fundamental, and it's so basic, it's so simple, but it's so powerful, and it
Mhm.
certainly works. And whatever people's religion is or spirituality is, to just sit there, meditate, get in touch, and then go. Like YouTube is such a huge resource, and podcasts like this is totally free for people to listen to, and there's literally thousands of them out there for whatever interests you, your subject matters. So getting information and then sharing from an educational point of view, and maybe not instructional, but definitely educational. And then after you start to build some type of a following, start to maybe make an offer of some type. And those to me are perfect step-by-steps. Anything else you'd like to follow up with?
No, I was gonna say I have a podcast as well. So I have the 8 golden rules here as an ebook if you want to read, where I tell you 8 steps to become a heart-centered business leader. And my podcast, I also have, I think, 9 episodes out already that talking from that alone, people have changed their money just from the episodes. But those are things that I suggest. And one thing that I want to touch on that you said is really important. When I'm saying a prayer as well, it could be a prayer to your own thoughts. Even if you don't believe in something that's greater than yourself, fine, but say a prayer to your thoughts, like literally, or talk to your thoughts to let your thoughts be more expansive, or meditate. I don't really care what type of religion or thing that you do. I just think it's important that you allow some momentum to happen where you shift the reality of what is currently happening. And when you ask for help, I talk about this in my new book, you have to ask for help for the miracles to show up. And the other thing that I think is really important, they said, is you don't need a lot of following on social media. I know people that I've had clients of mine, especially in this time, that have 100 people on social media, but they started educating about what to do with their children. They started educating about, I'm no longer going to be a 1-800 helpline. You can book calls with me this time, and here's this one. And people started booking calls. Like, you don't need to have, even though I'm in academia, you don't need to have a PhD or a master's or a bachelor's to do things. If you have real life experience, health issues you've gone through, you can help people. And I think that's the most important thing is, are you more committed to helping people, or are you more committed to suffering?
Nice. I mean, that's and it's so phenomenal. We're going to talk a little bit more, but I would love if you could just give everybody your contact info so we can interject that a few times.
Yeah, so my contact is, you can always get to me on Facebook. So it's just facebook.com, Colleen.Gallagher111. Or if you do want to text me, I'm open to that. My number is 424-443-4842.
Ooh, she gives out her cell. You're brave. I remember people telling me that years ago, but all my marketing, everything has my cell on it too. So, because I have people come to me directly, and then, we'll, send them appropriately, take care of them. But I love that. So, you were talking to me a little bit about some of the people. Now, I know it's probably you can't give their names, but some of the successes, especially now during this time, I think it would be really helpful for people not to understand, A, that you helped these people, but B, that not everybody is suffering right now, and there are action steps. I mean, you were like the queen of action steps. You know what I mean? You just picked up and moved several times. So taking action is huge. And I love how you talked about getting a counsel, or getting a coach. You know what I mean? Yeah, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with a team. But another little saying that, in our industry we all hear, but is get a coach, seek somebody who's already done that. Seek counsel, don't seek advice. You want somebody who's already done basically what, or if possible, exactly what you want to do, and just learn from them. And oftentimes people will give you advice for free, or you can listen to them on an interview, or get their free PDF. So none of it's, it will maybe take up some of your time, but if money's an issue, the information's available. You just have to seek it out. So could you tell us a little bit about some of the people that you've worked with and the successes they've had without maybe mentioning their names?
Yeah. So, I mean, a really good program that I have is called How to Write, Publish, and Monetize Your Book. And so that's something I recently have revisited, and I've helped around 50 people understand how easy it is to write a book, because this is my 3rd book in 3 years, and how to create their life trauma, I guess, or hardships or knowledge into success. The other thing that I have really done, where this is in the time of COVID, is I launched a course which is called Change Your Relationship with Money. And with that, we had about 8 people enroll, and one of the women enrolled. She's incredible. She has been able to pay off all of her cards, and she has like only one payment left for school. There's another guy who wanted to add $5,000 a month to his bottom line, and he did that within the first week, I think, that we had the course. Another woman is committed to, her dreams that she wants to do. She's like, I'm doing it, it's happening. And another beautiful woman who is a stay-at-home mom, she's just now starting to see how she can start her own business and actually create structure for people to talk with her and get her knowledge. So that has all been absolutely incredible things for me to see during this time when people are so upset, when it's like their money has actually been growing and been able to impact in that way. So those are a few. I mean, I have tons of other testimonies on my website. I mean, I've helped people leave their corporate jobs and get their first $5,000. I've helped people, like I said, write their first book. I've helped countless people leave corporate jobs, become successful in their network marketing companies, start a business they never knew, travel the world, move out to another state. I have so many that I've been able to do. Those are, I guess, the recent ones that I'm talking about that I would share. And one thing that you touched on that I want to talk about, actually, then I can talk about implementing myself, is, I wanted to understand, because I want to have some investments. I'm 26 and I want to understand how to have my money be set up for a longer term. So I got some investment books. I went on Amazon and I started listening to audiobooks on investment and finance, because I've never done that before. And I did that, and I ended up opening up a account with Charles Schwab, and I put, quite a bit of money there, and I started actually trading my own money. I read about it and I started looking, and I looked at that was something I never looked at, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And I practice what I preach. I'm doing it myself. So it's not like I'm just doing it. And I think what you shared, which I want to touch on, is the importance of mentorship. I would not be where I am today, even from the 17-year-old Colleen till now, without mentorship. I was actually at a dinner last night, and I was talking with a friend, and I forgot, when I was in college, we went to this thing called Summer Business Institute at Michigan State University. I went there, and it was like to be successful, learn about the business and the different colleges or stuff. And so I go, and I remember we had to do this activity they wanted us to do. We couldn't talk to anyone, and we had a certain number of like blocks, and everyone had to be on the blocks to then get the pass block and then move it up and get across the grass. So it wasn't working. We were doing this for like 2.5 hours, and I remember we're on like that, and it wasn't working. And so we were so close, but it wasn't going to work. So I literally stepped off the block, and everyone was like, because and I knew it wasn't going to work. And the dean of the business college came up to me, and assistant dean, he said, this is how I know you're going to be successful, is you don't care what anyone thinks. You know when something's going to work and when it's not, and you're not afraid to pivot. And I forgot about that story until last night. But even when I was younger, from that's what actually allowed me to get to Cuba and South Africa a year before I was even eligible, because I wasn't in the right grade, because I did that. And I've always surrounded myself with people that are older than me. I've always put myself around people that are, I guess, quote unquote, more successful, have created whatever, because I know where I'm going, and I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want to be around people where I'm at. I'm already wanting to be the next level of me. And that was actually my podcast episode that came out today, was Become the Future You Now. I don't want to have the thoughts that I'm having now. I want to have the thoughts of Colleen at 35. What are my investments? What am I looking at? And that's exactly what I'm doing. Okay, I open my account with Charles Schwab. So 10 years from now, I can go, what are my investments? What is my money? What is this? Where can I pull this? Or where do I have more? And I want to understand that for myself. I want to be empowered, and I want to take that choice. And I think that's the most important thing we can do. Even if you don't have money, I talk about this in my new book, actually. There's a woman named Melanie Tona Evans, and she's incredible. And there were some things that I needed to learn from childhood trauma that I talk about in my book. But I wasn't willing to pay her. I didn't want to pay the woman. But I don't know why, I just didn't. I was like, I don't want to spend my money there, or my money was telling me they didn't want to go there, because I believe our money talks to us. And so I was like, okay. And so I've spent 35 plus hours consuming this woman's content, because she's done this for 35 plus years. I completely healed myself from listening to her content on YouTube. I completely healed everything that I ever needed. No, I shouldn't say ever, but what I really believe from her. And will I maybe pay for something one day? Yes. But I spent 35 plus hours listening to this woman to get to the result that I wanted to get. And I think that is what it takes, is you have got to be more committed. I wanted to be better. A, I knew I wanted to be better, but B, I was not going to tolerate suffering the rest of my life. I wasn't going to tolerate it. So if that meant that I had to invest my time and no money, I did it. And I sent her an email, like a very nice email to her team and her, and I was so excited. And I was like, I want to send you this book because you're in the book of what you've helped me overcome. And who knows if she'll reply or doesn't, but that is what it takes wherever you're at in your life. You've got to find that inspiration in you somewhere. But I cannot die with my life being like this.
That's amazing. And it's inspirational too, but it ties back to everything you've said about, all the action you've taken and being committed to yourself. And I love how you stepped off that block because you just knew it wasn't going to work, and why continue to go into that circle, and also the ability to pivot when something isn't working, to pivot. And right now people need to learn to pivot. And then also, healing yourself for, having that uncomfortable feeling about sending money somewhere, and investing in yourself through your time and effort for other material, and then getting some needs met is just, it's inspirational.
Well, I talk about this in my third week of my Change Your Relationship with Money course, which is this week, where I'm in third week, but I talk about the difference of spending, investing, and debt. And I did not always have this knowledge. So I hope that by sharing this with someone, you can get this. When I went into $100,000 in debt, I don't ever regret it, because I needed to do that for my relationship with money. However, there's 3 ways that life happens. One is you unconsciously are going through life, and that's when you're kind of just spending money. You're spending your time unconsciously. You're spending your time unwisely. Number 2 is when you're investing. That means that you're consciously aware about who you're hanging out with, what products you're buying, who you're being, what you're consuming on the internet, and the conversations you're having. Now you're starting to invest your time because you are doing a greater collective whole. So let me give an example for this one. I recently decided that I was going to be now an active participant in plastic. I was not going to buy plastic bottles anymore. I was going to get the big glass bottles, or the plastic ones I still had. I was just going to go to water stations and renew those. So from this, right, I decided this. It's funny. The moment I decided that, I woke up the next day from 2 online courses that I had, and I had 2 new sales from 2 brand new customers that I had never heard of. That is when you're investing your time into the universe. And I promise you, the universe comes back to you and invests it back in you. And then the third thing I call is debt, which is when you're not mindlessly spending. I believe we all spend. Ron and I spend. Everyone spends our time. I don't think it's something you're ever going to totally heal from. I think it's your natural evolution. And as you evolve, your spending becomes different. However, what I mean by debt, and let's talk about spending, is debt is when you know you are wasting your time. What I'm saying is, you know that you're going on that date that you should not be going on. You know you're texting that person that you shouldn't be texting. You know that you should, like, your money is telling you this doesn't feel good to spend money on. Like, I don't want to spend $3.49 on strawberries, so I'm going to get the blueberries for $2, even though it's whatever, but your money is just saying, I don't want to do that. But for whatever reason, it may not make logical sense. That is debt. When you have a knowing that, like, something inside of you is like, ooh, you shouldn't eat that. Ooh, you shouldn't do that. Ooh, you shouldn't call that person, but you do it, you are now going into a debt. And that will, promise you, when I hear someone talk and they're telling me their life, I can tell where they're at in the scale. And with spending, let's say it would be like, let's say I had a group of old friends before, and I maybe wanted to catch up with them, and it's like, oh, I kind of do, I kind of don't, but I didn't really have a no, this is wasting time. It was like, okay, let's see. And then I go on and go, okay, that was actually really great. I'm so happy that I did that. Or that wasn't so great. But if I do it again, now we're in debt. And this is where you go of how your time is divided between investing, spending, and debt. That is exactly, I promise you, what your bank account is going to look like.
I love it. I love it. And it's so, like I said, so intuitive and so fundamental. It comes by like your feelings. And if you didn't get it the first time, but then you know about it the second time. You mentioned that this course you have that you're doing, you're in your third week now, right? I assume you're going to be running it again, so people will be able to take advantage of it and possibly get in it, right?
So we're setting up the website for it today or tomorrow that you can go in. We're not doing it live all the time. Obviously, I'm doing it live right now with this group of people, which is amazing because you have opportunities to ask me like live Q&A on there, and I like go into your own subconscious energy, and that's where my zone of genius is reading into people's fields. But it'll be online and you can buy it. It'll be like $444, and we'll have some payment plans that you can get it with. But if you go to my podcast alone, if you don't have money, I promise you, if you binge listen to my podcast and you listen to the episodes different days, your life will change.
I love it. And that's all totally free. So, I mean, and then from there, once their life starts to change and they see that it works, they can invest in themselves a little bit more and upgrade and get some actual personal contact opposed to just reruns and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Excellent. Is there anything else you'd like to talk to us and let us know right now? I mean, to me, it's been amazing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing if I could share with anyone is it's easy, I guess you might say, for me to sit here at 26 and say that my life has been very easy or I've not had a lot of things. I'd argue with you I have, but I'd argue with you that I haven't let those things stop me. And I think the most important thing is whenever you're listening to this, wherever you are in your life, you not only can create success, but you can create success from a place that feels good. Because I've done it from both places. I've grown $1 million territories, and I've also have my own business where I've had $100,000 sales months. And I truly believe that you can create success in a way that feels good for you. You don't have to do something just to get money. And the moment that you send a prayer or meditate or have that belief shift, miracles are waiting to show up for you. The miracles are already there. The abundance is already there. The people, the help, the support. I write about this in my book. Like when I needed help, when I was like this smart girl that didn't, know what to do, and I needed a lot of help, I had to admit that recently, and in the past, and from that place of just admitting I needed help, there was so much support emotionally that showed up, which absolutely relates to every area of my life.
I love it. And, it's amazing. I sit here, I look at you, I've known you for, I must have met you around like 22 or something, because I was thinking, well, she must be 30 and then you're 26. But what you've accomplished in just these few years, I can't even imagine what you're going to be like at 35. But it's all a testament to just being committed to who you are and what you want to do, and then taking that massive action. I mean, you just packed up and moved on multiple occasions to entire different continents.
Yeah. I've done it a few times, and I'm going to do, like I said, India in 2021. So I've got one more coming up for sure. But I really believe what's done it. And like you said, I think the most important thing, if I can just really drill it in, is you've got to be committed to you. And there's got to be a point when you just say, I'm not going to be bored. I'm not going to suffer. My life's not going to suck. There's got to be something. And for me, sometimes it took me having a huge thing go off of my life. But other times it's taken me to go, something doesn't feel right. And I want to get curious and find out why. And then from the curiosity, my life has changed.
I love it. And you give a whole new meaning to resilience and perseverance and achievements. I mean, 26, you're amazing.
Thank you. You're amazing. I feel super grateful to be here and collaborating, and I'm excited for anyone to reach out. I love hearing from you, and I'm excited to see you soon.
Yep. And I want to let you know, everybody, we're going to sign off in a minute here, but if you look below, you'll see an ebook that Colleen is graciously giving away to everybody. And also, people can just contact you on Facebook, Colleen.Gallagher on Facebook, correct?
It's Colleen.Gallagher111. My Instagram is I am Colleen Gallagher, or my phone number is 424-443-4842. I'm not good at calling, so don't call me. Text me, and then I'll
Are you a millennial?
I know I am a millennial, but I'm really not great at the phone, so it's much better to text me.
Yeah, it's a lot quicker and easier too. Even though I'm just north, I just got outside of the millennial age group myself, Yeah.
I'm like the millennial Z. I'm like a month away from Generation Z.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, I wanted to, this was amazing. It was a great interview, packed with helpful information, and I really do recommend people reach out to you for a whole multitude of reasons. And in the descriptions, you will also see more information and contact information from Colleen, both here, YouTube. I'm going to put this video out on a whole bunch of different social media platforms. The audio I'm going to strip out and send over to the radio station and their platform as well, so it'll get blasted out again. And so I just want to say grateful. Thank you so much, Colleen.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, everybody, you've been listening to Colleen Gallagher on the Success Secrets Revealed show. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. If you came in late, I highly recommend you go back. Here you have somebody who has survived thyroid cancer, used that as a way, who saw that as something that was a message to her. It happened to her, for her rather. It freed her because it gave her some insight into not speaking her truth and the location of it. I'm not doing the entire interview justice in this recap, so I want you to really go back and listen to that. And then she took action, and she moved across the country, moved to other continents at 21, at 23, created $1 million territories, $100,000 months in her own personal business. She's absolutely a rock star. Again, the show's name is Success Secrets Revealed. My name is Ronald Couming. The sponsor of the show is RCS Online Solutions, where we help business owners and entrepreneurs much like you achieve even greater success by attracting, converting, and retaining their ideal customers and clients. Awareness equals opportunity, everyone. You have to get whatever you do, your products and services and your gifts to the world, in front of the people who need them. And that's where someone like me comes in. So I hope you all have a great day, and we'll talk soon. See you tomorrow. We have Tucker coming up tomorrow. Bye for now.